The story begins in an old deserted pub in Berlin. That pub belonged to an elderly man named Owen, who had been running the place for years. Around this time, a man named Neil entered the pub, looking anxious. It was clear from his face that he was deeply troubled. As soon as he entered, he told Owen that he wanted to meet the woman who lived in the basement. Hearing this, Owen's face hardened. He flatly refused Neil and said that there is no peace behind that door. Only pain, regret, and sorrow are hidden there. But Neil remained adamant. So he took 2,000 euros out of his pocket, placed them in front of Owen, and said that he just wanted to say goodbye to his dead wife one last time. But even then, Owen did not back down from his decision. He refused to take the money and firmly told Neil to leave. Now, after Neil left, silence once again fell over the pub. After remaining silent for a while, Owen picked up the camera and began recording a video message for the future owner of the pub. In it, he explained that this is not an ordinary pub. It comes with a special but extremely dangerous resident named Baghead who lives in the basement. Owen explained that whoever signs the papers for this property will become its next caretaker. He specifically warned that Baghead will try to escape at any cost. Therefore, it will be the owner's responsibility to keep her confined in the basement. If the owner even tries to run away from this place, death and disease will relentlessly follow them. Finally, Owen took a deep breath and said that today he would try to end this curse once and for all. After saying this, he headed straight to the basement, where a terrifying and crazed-looking woman was tied to a chair. She was Baghead, the one he had warned about in the video. Owen knew that if he didn't do something today, this curse would never end. That's why he planned to set the entire pub on fire so that the curse would be destroyed forever along with this place. But his plan failed, and in the end, Owen himself died in the fire, while Baghead somehow managed to survive. After this, the story moves to London, where a girl named Iris was with her best friend Katie. Actually, Iris's life was not easy at this time. She was struggling with financial problems and, due to a lack of money, was unable to pay her rent on time. Because of this, she was evicted from her home and was now looking for a new place to stay. But just then, she received a call on her phone. On the other end was a lawyer. He told her that her father had passed away and she was being called to Berlin immediately. Hearing this news, Iris was shocked, because she had been estranged from her father for many years. Even so, she arrived in Berlin the very next day. There, she saw her father's burned corpse and was shattered from within. In fact, Owen was her father, but they had not been in contact for years. After that, the lawyer told her that her father had transferred his property to her name. Hearing this, Iris was even more shocked, because she never expected her father to leave anything for her. She didn't even know that there was an old pub in Berlin in her name. After that, the lawyer took her to see the pub. The place was badly burned and in a dilapidated state. He clearly said that it would take a lot of money to repair it. So he suggested that if Iris wanted, he could soon find a buyer and sell it. But Iris refused to make a decision right away. She said she needed some time to understand everything. Since she was already homeless, she decided to spend the night in that pub. Then that night, Iris called Katie. When Katie asked how she was doing, Iris said that her father had left her many years ago, so she wasn't feeling that sad. But the truth was that inside, she felt a strange emptiness and loneliness that she couldn't put into words. Understanding this, Katie reassured her that she wouldn't leave her alone in this situation and would come to Berlin as soon as possible. But that same night, around midnight, Iris was suddenly awakened by a strange sound coming from the basement. She got up, scared, and went downstairs to check, but she didn't see anyone there. When she reached the basement door, she saw that some strange spells were written on it. Then she tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge at all. Just then, she suddenly sensed the presence of someone else in the house. Her heart started pounding rapidly. She nervously moved forward in that direction, and just then, Neil suddenly appeared in front of her. The moment Iris saw Neil, she became extremely frightened. But Neil immediately raised his hand to reassure her that he wouldn't harm her. Then he said that he had come to meet the woman who lives in the basement. Hearing this, Iris was astonished and said that no one lives there. But Neil insisted that his wife is there. He took out 4,000 euros and offered them to Iris, saying that if she let him go into the basement, he would give her even more money. At first, Iris couldn't understand what he was saying, but remembering her financial situation, she weakened and finally agreed. She told Neil that she didn't have the key to the basement at the moment, so he should come back the next day. Then, the next morning, Iris met with the lawyer and said that she didn't want to sell the pub, but wanted to stay there instead. Hearing this, the lawyer was disappointed, but he didn't stop her. After that, he gave her the old papers, and by signing them, she officially became the owner of the place. He also gave her a tape left by Owen and the keys to the basement. Now that night, Katie also arrived there. Iris told her everything about Neil and also mentioned that she had given him 4,000 euros because he believes that a woman lives in the basement. Hearing this, Katie got scared. She said that if this is true, staying here could be dangerous. But Iris felt that all this was just a story to scare people. She thought that if people really believed this, she could take advantage of their fear and make good money. It also occurred to her that maybe her father used to make money in the same way, by exploiting people's fears. Meanwhile, Neil arrived there. Now he, Iris and Katie, all three of them headed towards the basement together. The room downstairs was extremely dark, and there were 2 chairs placed in the middle. Just then, Neil noticed a large crack in the wall. Seeing this, he looked towards the crack and said that he knew someone was inside, and he told them to come out. Iris and Katie couldn't believe what he was saying. They still weren't taking it seriously, but suddenly, Baghead emerged from that very crack. There was a sack over its head, and its movements were strange. As soon as he saw it, Neil panicked and started asking about his wife. But Baghead didn't respond to him at all and started moving straight towards Iris. Just then, Iris gathered her courage and ordered it to stop. Surprisingly, Baghead stopped immediately. Then Iris told it to sit on the chair, and without any resistance, it quietly sat down. After that, Neil sat down on the chair in front of it. He took out his deceased wife's ring and gave it to Baghead. Baghead put the ring in its mouth. Then Neil began to tie it to the chair. Meanwhile, Baghead's hands slowly started to change. Their skin and shape began to look different. Seeing this, Neil panicked and quickly removed the sack from its head. But the face in front of him was not his wife Sarah's, but his mother's, who had died 20 years ago. Neil was stunned to see this. He had come to see Sarah, but his mother was in front of him. Still, he composed himself and, in a trembling voice, asked his mother why she had committed suicide. But he didn't get a clear answer. Suddenly, his mother's eyes turned completely black. In a cold voice, she said that she never wanted a child and that was why she hated Neil. Then, all of a sudden, she vanished from the chair and in the very next moment reappeared and knocked Neil to the ground. Then she climbed on top of Neil and began pouring some strange kind of liquid from her mouth onto him. At that moment, Iris gathered her courage and threw the sack over her head again, which immediately calmed the bag down. Then she returned the ring and without saying a word, went back into the same large hole in the wall. After coming out of the basement, Neil realized something. He explained that his mother had appeared because the ring originally belonged to her and she had later given it to Sarah. In other words, the Baghead brings forth the spirit most deeply connected to the object in question. Neil also admitted that he had forgotten to give an important warning. You should never talk to any dead person for more than 2 minutes, because after 2 minutes, Baghead completely takes control of the spirit and then it becomes violent. Hearing all this, Iris and Katie were left shocked. For them, this experience was completely impossible to believe and terrifying. But Neil still wanted to meet Sarah. He said that he missed her a lot and just wanted to say a proper goodbye one last time. But Iris refused, though Neil offered her more money. Then he also gave her his address and said to let him know if she changed her mind. After Neil left, Iris and Katie watched the video instructions left by Owen. In the video, Owen clearly explained that Baghead only obeys the person whose name is listed as the owner on the property papers. That means she was now under Iris's control. Owen further explained that Baghead has the power to bring back the dead, but you can only talk to them for 2 minutes. If the time limit is exceeded, Baghead takes control of the spirit and starts manipulating their mind. He also warned that the more someone uses Baghead, the more powerful it becomes. That's why it's best not to use it at all, because it can get inside a person's mind, and its real goal is only one: to get out of the basement by any means. After learning all this, Iris understood why her father had left her years ago, not because he wanted to abandon her, but because he was protecting his family from this monster. Hearing this truth, Katie got scared and immediately advised her to run away from there. But Iris had nowhere else to go, so she decided to stay there. Then she said that Neil is very rich, and if they let him talk to Sarah one last time, they could get enough money to start a new life. Katie didn't like this idea at all, but she stayed for her friend. Then the next morning, Iris went to Neil's house to bring him back. She had decided that if everything was done according to the rules, they could take advantage of this opportunity. Meanwhile, Katie was left alone in the pub. As a precaution, she tightly shut the basement door with a heavy wine barrel. Now, as she was about to leave, suddenly a photo frame fell to the ground. Katie bent down to pick it up, and that's when she noticed that there were 2 unfamiliar men in the photograph. After looking at the date written on the back, she realized the photo was from 1902, and there were 2 names written on the back of the picture. One was Otto, and the other was the same lawyer who had recently made Iris sign the papers. Seeing this, Katie became suspicious. She started investigating about Otto. Then she found out that Otto was the owner of the pub before Owen. Later, due to a family tragedy, he committed suicide. As Katie was reading this, she suddenly felt the presence of someone behind her. She turned around and saw Otto standing there, but he disappeared in an instant. Meanwhile, at Neil's house, Neil was telling Iris his story. He said that he loved his wife Sarah very much, and after the accident, he was completely shattered. That's why he started going to a counseling group. It was there that he learned about Owen, a man who, for €2,000, would let people meet their deceased loved ones. Then that night, Iris, Katie, and Neil all went down to the basement one last time. This time, they decided to do everything according to the rules. Neil gave Baghead a personal belonging of Sarah's, and Iris set a timer for exactly 2 minutes. As soon as Baghead put that item in its mouth, it immediately transformed into Sarah. Sarah looked exactly as she did in her final moments. At first, the conversation was normal, but it soon became clear that Neil hadn't come just to say goodbye. He started questioning her about who she was meeting and whether she was involved with another man. But Sarah flatly denied these accusations. Just then, the timer went off, and suddenly Baghead seized the spirit. After that, she began to say that there was no other man in her life. Rather, she simply didn't want to be with Neil anymore. As soon as she said this, the atmosphere in the basement changed, and in an instant, the scene of Sarah's accident appeared. Meanwhile, Iris saw Sarah crying in a corner. She cautiously moved toward her, but the next moment, Sarah transformed into a terrifying creature and knocked Iris to the ground. Then she said that now Iris was a prisoner of this place. Saying this, she disappeared back into the same hole in the wall. Things calmed down, but Neil still stayed behind. He said that he wanted to talk to Sarah again. He claimed that he wanted to move forward, and he wasn't sure if what Sarah said after the timer ended was true. But Iris and Katie were now fed up with him. They made it clear that this was the last time, and now he should go home. After he left, Iris sat alone and started drinking. Her mind was tangled up. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of her deceased father, Owen. It wasn't like a memory, but as if some truth was unfolding before her eyes. In that scene, she saw Owen sitting in the basement using the Baghead. He had called his late wife and was apologizing to her with a broken heart. Owen was saying that he tried to leave everything behind and return to them, but whenever he thought of coming closer, strange things would start happening around him. That's when he realized that he himself had become a danger to his daughter. This very fear forced him to stay away from them and ultimately decide to end everything. But as soon as the 2 minutes were up, Baghead took possession of his wife's soul, and Owen died in that same horrific fire. After this, the story reaches midnight, where Iris once again heard strange noises. Frightened, she stepped out of her room, but saw that Katie was not in her room. Panicked, she followed the sound all the way to the basement, where she encountered her father. At that moment, her father started telling her to walk toward the large hole in the wall. Iris took a few steps forward, but something felt strange to her. Then she noticed a strange madness on her father's face. Then suddenly, Owen shed his skin, and Baghead appeared in her true form. Seeing this, Iris angrily started to strangle her, but at that very moment, Baghead took on her own appearance. Suddenly, Iris woke up in her bed. She couldn't understand whether it was a dream or reality. Just then, she felt a rope tied with a key tightly wrapped around her neck, making it hard for her to breathe. But Katie heard her faint voice. She immediately came into the room and cut the rope just in time. After that, both of them tried to contact the lawyer together, so that Iris's name could be removed from the property papers and this responsibility would end. But soon they found out that the lawyer had suddenly disappeared. Now, on the way home, Katie told Iris clearly that they should leave this place immediately. According to her, the longer they stayed here, the greater the risk they would be taking. But Iris no longer wanted to go back to her old homeless life. But Katie kept insisting that they had to leave, which led to a heated argument, and in the end, Iris accused Katie of being jealous of her. She said that now she has this house and Katie has nothing, so she wants Iris to lose everything too and become homeless again like her. Hearing this deeply hurt Katie. Upset, she picked up her things and left the house. Although she appeared tough on the outside, deep down she was extremely worried about her friend. So she went to Otto's old abandoned house, where she found several documents revealing that Otto too had tried to escape the curse, but he was not successful. Meanwhile, Iris went alone to the basement and, with Baghead's help, summoned her father Owen. Owen appeared and explained that he wanted to burn down the pub so that the curse would end and Iris wouldn't get caught up in all of this. But hearing this made Iris angry. She asked why he had hidden this truth from her for so many years. Because of this, Owen apologized to her and pleaded that she never summon him again. After this, Iris went upstairs and tried to burn the property papers so that everything would end. But surprisingly, the papers simply wouldn't burn. After that, Katie came back to the pub and called Iris several times but got no response because Iris was lying unconscious in a room. Katie thought she might be in the basement, so she went downstairs, but there she came face to face with Baghead. Seeing him, she panicked and accidentally dropped the Otto documents from her hand, which Baghead immediately swallowed. After that, Otto's spirit appeared. Katie asked him, "Who is Baghead?" Otto explained that about 400 years ago, a cult called the Brotherhood found a woman who had the power to summon the dead. But at that time, she refused to use her power. Because of this, the members of the Brotherhood declared her a witch and burned her alive. However, she came back to life and began to take revenge on them. Then the Brotherhood group imprisoned her underground through a secret ritual. But centuries later, some people, tempted by her power, found her again. Just then, the 2 minutes were up and Baghead took possession of Otto's soul. Then it slowly started moving towards him. At that moment, the basement door suddenly shut. Then the next morning, Iris's phone suddenly rang. On the other end was Katie pleading for help. She was saying that she was trapped in the basement, but suddenly a scream was heard and the call was disconnected. Despite her fear, she immediately ran downstairs. When she reached the basement, she looked towards the same large hole in the wall. Just then, she remembered her father's warning to never go inside. But hearing Katie's voice, she couldn't stop herself and went into the hole. After going a little further, she saw Katie. Seeing her, Iris breathed a sigh of relief and started to turn back with her. But as they were leaving, her eyes fell on the ground, where the real Katie's corpse was lying. At that moment, Baghead revealed its true form and attacked her. Somehow, Iris managed to free herself and ran out of the hole. Just then, Neil arrived there. He saw Iris in a panicked state and took her upstairs. He said that she was in shock and needed to calm down. Then he gave her some pills and assured her that she would feel better after taking them. But as soon as Iris took the pills, she started feeling dizzy and within moments she lost consciousness. When she woke up, it was already night. Then she went to the basement where she saw Neil making a deal with Baghead. In that deal, he was preparing to become its guardian so that he could talk to Sarah for the rest of his life. Then he tried to write his name on the papers, but his name disappeared because Iris was still alive. At that moment, Baghead took on Sarah's appearance. She looked at Neil and said that she was pregnant at the time of her death. Then she accused Neil of being overly suspicious and controlling and said that was the reason she had taken her own life. Hearing this, Neil was completely shattered inside. Then, as Sarah, Baghead softly said that if they truly wanted to be together, they would have to remove Iris, who was standing in their way. Just then, Neil noticed that Iris was standing at a distance, listening to everything. Her face clearly showed signs of panic. Seeing her, Neil angrily ran towards her. Seeing this, Iris immediately tried to call the police, but her phone was dead. So to save herself, she ran towards the roof, but Neil caught her. Iris tried to explain to him that she wasn't the real Sarah. She was Baghead who was deceiving him. But Neil was no longer in his senses. He didn't listen to her and pushed her hard, causing Iris's death. After that, Neil took her body to the basement and gave Baghead Iris's phone, asking her to bring Iris back so she could sign the papers. Baghead swallowed the phone and Iris's spirit appeared. At that moment, Neil apologized to her and asked her to transfer the property to his name. At that moment, the spirit laughed and said that Iris was dead, but her name was still on the papers. That means her soul is now in its possession, and she has become her own guardian. Just then, Baghead attacked Neil. First, it took the form of his mother and broke his hands. Then, turning into Sarah, it slammed his head onto the ground. In the end, it took the form of Iris and kept hitting him with a chair, which led to his death. In the final scene, Baghead burned the property papers and the entire pub, and then walked out of the basement. And with that, this story comes to an end. If you liked the explanation, please be sure to like and comment on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such interesting and unique stories.